Evening, Squire, to Geek Salad's retro movie reviews from the Geek Salad podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And it's with a heavy heart today that we bid adieu the one Terry Jones. Mainly his work was known from Monty Python. He did a lot of other projects as well, which we'll kind of get into while we talk about his life. But yeah, he passed away yesterday, Wednesday the 22nd, at the age of 77. He had dementia for a very, very long time. So this was kind of coming.
Yeah.
It was a matter of when. And it is incredibly sad when you think about how he, especially with his work with Monty Python. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Instead of reviewing a movie, we want to review a body of work of one of the more forgotten Pythons. He wasn't as flashy as Cleese or Idol, or as upfront as Palin or Chapman was. You know, he was the other. He was one of the Terrys.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, neither one of the Terrys were really the out in front. They were both. I mean, there's a reason why both of them kind of went more into directing and behind the camera stuff.
Right. Exactly. But Terry Jones definitely had personas on camera. I mean, you think about a lot of the characters he played. He's best for playing on the show. He and Graham played most of the best women on there. He was the waitress in the in Spam.
Spam. Yeah. I think his most often played persona though was the nude organist.
Yes.
Any chance to rip off his clothes, he took it.
Yes, exactly. He had a really interesting line delivery. I think partly where a lot of his words had that W inflection on them. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was like a bit of a speech impediment as well, because there's a historian who does a lot of stuff with PBS, Lucy Worsley, who does a lot of this when she talks about things, and it reminds me a lot of Terry Jones and the way he would deliver his line readings.
He was actually, I think, out of all of the Pythons, he was probably the best straight man.
He absolutely was. I mean, you think about the nudge nudge sketch. That's
exactly, yeah.
All Eric Idle. He is just there to deliver the lines, and there were a lot of lines for him to deliver.
Yeah, and Terry Jones is just there to be the butt of the joke, basically.
Yep. And just try to get to drink his beer. That's all he wants to do, is just drink that beer. I mean, you think about some of the movies. He was one of the directors for Holy Grail, and his roles. He was Sir Bedivere. He was. I mean, he's got one of the most quotable scenes, along with Michael Palin and Graham Chapman, with the political peasants.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Which one was he?
Dennis, there's some lovely filth down here.
Oh, right. He was the old woman.
Bring it close and do it again.
That's right. Yeah, of course he was the woman.
Yeah, exactly. But he was also one of the heads of the three-headed giant.
Yeah.
I think, was he Prince Herbert?
Yes, he was.
Prince Herbert?
One of the more, it really did not look at all like him.
No. You fell out of the tall tower, you creep.
I just wanted to sing.
Stop that. There'll be no singing around here.
I'll go get a glass of water.
He was Brian's mother in The Life of Brian. Again, with just his voice.
Yeah.
Why aren't women allowed to go to Stoning's mom? Because it's written. That's why.
He had a fantastic falsetto.
He did, but he's the voice you think of when you think of screechy British ladies.
Yes.
It's Terry Jones, and forever it will be Terry Jones. And I apologize to our friends in England, but that's just kind of how it sounds in my head.
Yeah, when we think of M, we think of her speaking like, "Hello
there." Yeah. I've heard her impression of me, and it just kind of sounds like this, and I don't know. So
yeah, that's pretty spot on.
That is spot on.
Yeah.
It's really tough because he really had so much to do behind the scenes. It's kind of hard to talk about him as the performer because he was never the star of any of this stuff. He was always in the background. He was always, in these little interstitials. But in some of these interstitials, though, he was larger than life. Mr. Creosote.
Oh, wow.
In The Meaning of Life.
Literally larger than life.
Yes, that is the most memorable scene in that entire movie, in my opinion. That and every sperm is sacred.
Yeah.
But yes, no, just that gigantic fat suit.
Give me a book, I'm going to throw up.
Yeah. And don't skip on the pie.
It's only way 15.
Fine. It's just funny to think about how much he shaped something that you and I very recently with on our podcast discussed in terms of Monty Python and the Flying Circus's influence on us.
Yeah, last year.
And there's so many other things that he had done and things that I was talking to my wife about. Like I know that a lot of his stuff had been cut from the movie Labyrinth. But he didn't actually let that affect his working relationship with Henson and Lucasfilm.
What else? What else has he done with Henson and Lucasfilm?
I think that was really the only thing he did, but he never spoke ill of the venture.
Oh yeah, the only person I've really heard him speak ill of was John Cleese, and that's because they worked so well together that there was just that natural animosity that always comes from geniuses working together.
When you've got 6 people who do nothing for a very long period of time working together, it's the same thing if you were in a band.
Yeah,
you get tired of going to be that focus your ire on.
Yeah, and let's not forget all of them. Terry Jones, Julio, were brilliant human beings.
Yes, yeah, and that's the thing too is that it's sad that it takes somebody dying before you kind of realize what a good person they were.
Mm-hmm.
And it really seems that Terry Jones was just a really good person. Nobody has an ill word to speak about him. They really just thought he was just a lovely man, very generous, very kind, very creative, very funny. And a lot of people, after he had his stroke, almost immediately after they had their reunion tour, they were just worried because he never spoke again, and it was very difficult for them to not hear the humor coming out of this man anymore because that voice was silent a long time before yesterday.
Yeah, I guess that was it's like a very rare form of dementia that he had, and it really affected the speech center of the brain, and basically for the last like 4 or 5 years, he's just been unable to speak.
Yeah.
And for someone as, affluent and, vocal as him, that had to have been hard for his wife and for all of his friends.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about some of his outside the Python projects. Have you ever seen Jabberwocky?
I think I've seen it like brief. I think I saw it on TV once, or I saw clips from it. I think it was just a little bit. It was before I had really discovered Python, I think, and it was kind of outside my wheelhouse a little bit. It was a little bit too weird for me.
I saw it, and I'll be 100% honest with you. It was so long ago, it doesn't count as me actually having seen it. Was it Eric the Viking?
Yeah, I've never seen that one.
I used to. This was I would rent Eric the Viking every like 3 or 4 months right after it's released because I really enjoyed. He had a very. It was very Python-esque, but they did use a lot of. I mean, Tim Robbins is the main character in that, and I don't know how well it's aged because it's quite honestly, it's been about 25 or 6 years since the last time I saw it.
Mm.
But I always enjoyed it, and it was the kind of movie I would show to friends just so they could kind of get in on it as well.
Mm. I know he had done a number of like kind of very historical documentaries.
Yes, I remember those from. I remember those from my Suncoast days. Drink. Because they were in these box sets and they would have him in like knight's armor. And he really did love mainly like British history. He just absolutely loved it. It's kind of like Michael Palin with his travel.
Yeah.
His travel documentaries. And it's very interesting to hear some very, very serious stuff coming out of an insanely funny human being.
Yeah, I have. I did see a couple of those documentaries he did on medieval history.
Yeah,
and just watching them, just watch like for a few minutes, and you realize just how insanely smart this guy is.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, again, we've discussed this before with his when we talked about Monty Python. That all these guys are just university geniuses.
Yeah.
All of them went to good schools and just it's kind of like, the National Lampoon before that flew off the rails. Those are all Harvard guys.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be like, if, the top like lawyers or not lawyers, because you want people that you like. But, just some of those brilliant people that you can think of decide to stop doing whatever they're doing and go into writing comedy.
Yeah.
And it turns out they're really, really brilliantly good at it.
I'm actually looking at his directorial output right here. And, he did Holy Grail, A Life of Brian, Meaning of Life, a movie called Personal Services, which I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, nothing on there.
Eric the Viking. And he actually directed a number of episodes of The Young Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah, I've seen that there.
Yeah.
And then he actually had a role in one of them too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Do you have any of the information for that?
He played Marcello in an episode Barcelona, May 1917.
Okay. Yeah, and I see a lot of writing credits here. He was on Marty Feldman's show.
Marty Feldman
prior to Python.
Yeah.
Forming. I remember that in the Python book I got that was celebrating their 25th anniversary. And it was the Marty Feldman Comedy Machine, and he was part of that writing team. He had written episodes of Ripping Yarns, which was Michael Palin's.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense because that makes a lot of sense because Michael Palin and Terry Jones were often like the writing partners, much like Graham Chapman and John Cleese.
Yeah, and then a lot of written by the surprising history of Rome, the surprising history of Egypt. He did one on the Crusades.
Mm-hmm.
So just a wealth of stuff that I kind of feel bad that I'm looking that up on IMDb to see what this tremendous amount of output that goes unnoticed.
He actually wrote a novel based on a computer game that was made by Douglas Adams. And the computer game I've actually played. I actually played it a long time ago.
The Dragon
thing. I got it right over there. Huh?
It was the Dragon game, right?
No, it was called Douglas Adams' Starship Titanic.
Okay. I remember Starship Titanic. It was one of the few games I could play on my old Mac.
I've got it right there, right over there, actually.
All right. I got to find this out, too, because he did a PlayStation game. Let's see if I could find the voice for it here. Blazing Dragons.
Oh.
Yeah. I used to play. I had an old girlfriend who had that game, and I would try to play that one, and he voiced it.
Oh wow!
So yeah, no, it's a pretty fun. It was a pretty fun game from what I remember. It's a PS1 game.
Yeah, I don't.
Kind of came to me now because I do remember that game very distinctly.
Oh, actually, and in the game itself, the Starship Titanic, Terry Jones voiced the parrot.
Ah, which is incredible because that sketch isn't included.
Yes, we know.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's tough because this isn't our typical movie review. Which is kind of funny because we just did Holy Grail and Life of Brian not too long ago, like right before the holidays.
Yeah.
It's just like we had all this stuff to talk about, and I'm happy that people are now able to appreciate his work and how good, how excellent of a writer he was. What a great, kind of a great old Monty Python thing. And it's going to be interesting the next time I listen to the final ripoff with my daughter. And just picking out Terry's voice, because I think he's Cardinal Fang.
No, he was Cardinal Biggles.
He's Cardinal Biggles. Okay, those who do expect the Spanish Inquisition.
No.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
He actually did play. He didn't play Biggles because Biggles was played by Graham Chapman, but he did play. What was the other one? It was Ginger was he was. Oh, I forget the sketch. Yeah, but I do know he was in that whole Biggles sketch that they did.
Yeah, and he was also in Hell's Grannies.
Oh. Like he was definitely one of the more game for putting on a woman's dress.
Yeah, he was. He absolutely was, and
but that was part of his brilliance.
Yeah, he is going to be missed. On kind of a weird side note, yesterday, because while I'm sitting there and I'm trying to appreciate the genius of Terry Jones, the fucking Planners Corporation decided that they were going to announce that they're killing off Mr. Peanut on the same fucking day.
Yeah, whatever.
Honey roast in hell.
I like honey roasted peanuts.
You Uncle Tom. You know that peanut's rotting in hell somewhere.
No, he's rotting in the dustbin.
Oh God. I you know that you gotta watch the commercial. It's all for a Super Bowl ad, which is just it's crazy. But Terry Jones would have never done a Super Bowl ad.
Or if he would have, it would have been a lot better than the actual game itself.
Years. What's that?
If he had done a Super Bowl ad, it would have been better than the game itself.
Probably would have been, yeah. So there's not much more to say. I think, Terry Jones is an amazing voice that shaped a lot of my childhood and the way that I perceive humor. I would assume same with you, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's just like it's interesting because after Neil Peart died, one of my coworkers was like, okay, we're at the age now when it's not drugs taking the people that created everything we love. Now it's just life taking away the people that created the things that we love.
Yeah.
And 77 is amazing for a guy who was able to live it up in the 70s, the 60s and 70s.
He still outlasted Graham Chapman for quite some time.
Yeah, Graham had more problems than everybody else, but
yeah.
You know what? Honestly, if it's 30 years in between every Python, I'm fine with that. And for the other, maybe 10 for the other Terry, just because he's just awful now. But
yeah, but
as long as Eric Idle lives to be 150, I'll be happy.
I kind of prefer that for Michael Palin. He doesn't do as much. Yeah, I don't see him as much, but he's always been my favorite.
Yeah, and I've always been an Idle guy. Again, not to take away from what Terry did, but that's kind of the other thing too, is that Terry was always there. He was never anybody's favorite. Ways impact.
Yes.
So
yeah.
Happy trails, Terry. Hope you find that peace.
Yeah. Have a nice drink with Graham.
Exactly. And don't forget, he's a very naughty boy.
Nicely done.
Thank you. So anyway, Mike and I host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can check us out at geeksalad.podbean.com. You can also get the podcast either here at YouTube, also on Spotify, Stitcher, and iTunes, as well as Google Music, and hopefully soon iHeartRadio.
Yeah, I just submitted that one a few days ago.
Yeah, a couple days ago. So now we got to wait like the requisite 2 weeks. So hopefully that'll come in. You can also check out all of our movie reviews here. What are some of your favorite memories about Terry Jones? What are things that you love that he did? Please leave a comment below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. We put out content, well, let's just say near weekly now. We've had some, or I have had some changes which might affect the release schedule on certain. But we're still quality content, or at least what Mike and I consider to be quality content on a semi-regular basis. And you can follow us on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio and on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast. Mike, am I leaving anything off?
No.
Okay, excellent. And by the way, go listen to our obscure singles of the 80s podcast, which is here on YouTube, unless you live in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Is crazy to me that the copyright hit for a British song and not like the actual opening song, which was from a New Zealand band.
You're expecting Warner Music Group to be sensible about something. Come on.
So, anyway, until next time, I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. Terry, we're going to miss you. Have a great night. Take care.